hello, hello. It's Friday, baby. I am your host, Lady T, and I'm here with co-host, Mr. Know-It-All. How are you doing, Mr. Know-It-All?
Well, I am doing excellent. It is always great to be here with you, Lady T. And you know what? We have another guest.
Yes, I understand that we are fortunate today to have a very special guest. Tell us, who is it?
Well, we have the illustrious head coach of the women's archery team for Columbia University, Mr. Derek Davis. Derek, welcome to It's Friday, baby. And we're so happy to have you. So thank you for joining us.
Welcome, Derek.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
So we've been doing some really interesting interviews with people who we think are, interesting people who are doing some interesting things, but not only that are helping, just to make the world a better place. So I really believe that you're one of those people and you're doing some really great things. So I know it sounds funny coming from me, right? But Derek, let me just talk about you a little bit. I was looking at you have a great bio on the Columbia Lions website. And it says that actually, is this your 20th year as being a coach with the team?
Yes, my 20th year with Columbia and 19th year as a head coach.
Wow. Congratulations. Yeah. And am I correct that you actually brought Columbia their first national title for the women's recurve? Is that correct?
That's correct. My first year as head coach, we won national title in the recurve division.
Wow, that's exciting, huh?
Yeah, it was.
And then you went on to coach 6 different recurve teams for national gold medal finishes: 2005, 2008, 2011, 2013, 15, and 17. Wow.
Correct.
So you've been a busy guy, huh?
Yeah, I think we would have had 19 also, COVID,
Yeah, wow. Well, congratulations, hats off. I'm really impressed. So, we have some great questions. Tracy, what do you got? I know you have some interesting things you like to ask. What does your team call you? Coach Davis, or they just go, hey, Derek, like me?
No, I'm a pretty informal kind of guy, so it's just Coach or Coach Derek. Yeah, so nice. They say Coach Davis, and I feel older than I already am.
Well, Derek, that is so impressive. And when I see hear the record and everything that you have done at Columbia, now Columbia is not just a regular school; it's an Ivy League, and it's in New York City, Columbia University. And I was curious, like, for an archery person, do they start out loving archery? What is the recruiting process to get them on the team?
Yeah. So to be honest, the bulk of collegiate archers right now are people who have started in college, through a PE class or club. But Columbia, we're a varsity program, so I do recruit. And that process it's one of the hardest things that I do here, because there's a lot of talent out there, and sometimes it's heartbreaking, to narrow it down to the few that I end up selecting. I wish I could take them all sometimes,
Sure.
But
wow, and Derek, the thing is that a person who they start off in archery at the school, is it something that a student who wants to come to Columbia, do they sometimes come there and join archery because they can get into Columbia maybe faster or be on a selected list because of that?
Well, that's a touchy subject these days. I don't know how much I'm allowed to get into that. I mean, we do, as a varsity program, I can support a certain number of applicants, and through the admissions process, what we're trying to make sure the world understands is that at least at Columbia and within Ivy League, there are still academic standards that have to be met. And
that's important.
And that comes first. So we as coaches, unlike maybe at other schools, do not have the kind of influence over admissions that people might think. So you still have to, keep your nose in the books and come with a strong academic record.
That's an excellent answer. Thank you, because I'm sure people
Mhm.
think that, oh, well, I'm just going to join archery to do that, or not just archery, but other sports that
Yeah.
are other than football or basketball. What do you have, Willis?
Sure, yeah, and I can imagine, like you said, it's a touchy subject with all the press that has transpired in the last year with all these different crazy lawsuits and people going to jail. I can see
Collegiate sports is an interesting world the last few years with
it
the
has
varsity
been.
blues scandal and
Yeah.
just all kinds of things going and the changes in with the name, image, and likeness, stuff like that. So it's a constant learning curve.
Yeah, and it's touchy. That being said, I don't know if you can speak on this, but do you have a take on the recent criticism that you see regarding HBCUs, sports programs from like these high-profile coaches like Deion Sanders, who left Jackson State, and Ed Reed recently? Have you been following any of that in the
A little bit, it's removed enough from me where I don't know enough of the details to I'm not going to criticize anybody for the decisions. It looks like Dion, took an opportunity that was a step up for him, and God bless him. But and he made a good point. It's like he went there, he improved that program, and now you could say some people say he's leaving it, and he sees it as he's creating an opportunity for somebody else to come and step into that spot. And that's huge because the opportunities are far and few between, especially for people of color. So in that sense, I think that's kind of a good thing that he's like moving on and letting somebody else come in and prove themselves, and get more of us in these spaces and head coach positions. So there's always two sides to a coin.
Absolutely. Yep. I think that's an interesting perspective. And, speaking from someone that is in that space and that I'm sure is because you travel all over the world, you go and like, sometimes it's just so I definitely respect that.
Yeah. There's a quick story I love to tell. It's like I was in Mongolia for the World University Championships, and it happened to be Children's Day. It's a national holiday. They shut everything down, and they have a big festival in Genghis Khan Square. And we're walking around, just taking in all the entertainment and everything. And this Mongolian man walks over and just like shoves his baby in my arms and starts to walk away. I'm about to freak out. I think this guy's abandoning his kid right in the middle of Genghis Khan Square. Right? He gets a few feet away, turns around, and and then he points to this. I look down, and there's this little girl standing next to me. She reaches up and takes my hand, and he pulls out his phone and takes a picture. And I was like, I said, watch it. He's gonna go home and look, Martha, a black person. And other coaches are looking at me like, everywhere we go, this happens to you, man. And I'm like,
That's funny,
but I enjoy it. It's fun, it's like it's breaking down barriers, it's
Absolutely.
Oh, we couldn't have a better representative, man. But that's a hilarious story.
It is. So Derek, I know you travel all around and your team is wonderful. I know I've been following a lot, following you, but give us the name of the team, because I know that I don't want to say it. You are going to, tell us what their name is.
Oh, it's just the Columbia University Women's Archery Team. And we're like all the other teams here, we're Lions. So sometimes we go by that. Yeah.
So all the teams are the Lions, like the basketball teams are Lions. Everybody's the Lions.
That's our school mascot. That's our school mascot.
Yeah. It's good you cleared that up. Thank you. And tell us some of the accomplishments, because I know that they're very proud of you being their coach, but I know also that you're proud of them. And what they do.
I mean, they do all the work. It's a lot of the accolades that I get is because of their performance. So it's hard. You've already mentioned the national titles that we've won, a total of 9. You mentioned the 7 recurve ones. There's 2 compound ones as well, and the number of All-Americans, I've lost count. We tend to average, 3 to 5 per year. So you
Wow.
multiply that by the 19 years, it's,
Mhm.
all academic Americans, we get a few of those every year. So, that I'm proud of too, because they maintain the grades. And then there's stuff, in the Ivy League, getting some of the rewards in there. And right here at Columbia, one that I'm proud of is, we have the academic achievement awards every year. And last year we had, oh God, I don't want to say the wrong number. It was the most we've ever had. And the year before was the most we ever had up to that point, where it was
Wow.
over 10, which is more than half the team.
Wow.
So, that we're Dean's List or in the 4.0 club. So I was
Wow.
really proud of that.
Oh,
I
you got
remember.
you got the geniuses. Nice.
It's genius. It's hard work. It's like, it's
Yeah.
dedication. It's being able to balance, and that's what makes a varsity athlete valuable to employers or grad schools or whatever the next step is that, that person that's considering, or that committee that's considering them, they know that they did everything that a regular student does, plus balance their commitment to their sport. And they know that they're a team player. They know how to manage their time.
Yeah.
They have leadership skills, and those kind of things. So it makes them more valuable, more desirable.
Yeah,
Wow.
especially
Yeah.
with a heavy curriculum, especially as for Columbia. That's amazing.
That's amazing, because
Yeah.
that was going to be one of my questions, which was, I was going to say, how does archery help them in other facets of the student life? But you definitely made it crystal clear how it just it gives a clarity in regards to all around ability to be a whole person, which is so important.
And beyond.
It
The
is,
whole
and it's
person.
one of my focuses. Anybody that thinks I come in here and just teach, just help them with their archery skill, it has no clue what's going on, because I look at it as like I'm here to help them grow into a full person and be ready to take on the outside world. We have discussions about this stuff, during COVID, when the George Floyd situation happened. We had a couple of Zoom meetings because everybody was at home on lockdown, and we discussed it, and I told them, in a way they had an advantage. They had somebody that they could openly talk to, and I said, listen, there's nothing off the table. Ask me anything you want. And, I may not have all the answers, but let's talk about it. Let's, if you have questions, if you have concerns, if you're angry about something, let's get it out there. There's no judgment here, and this is how we learn and grow. So all that's involved. There's you do this long enough, you deal with all kinds of unfortunate things. It's
Life.
mental distress. It's like relationship issues. It's a lot, and I'm there for it. I'm there for all of it.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things you mentioned is I wanted to kind of go back on, which was, it's really interesting that when you have these conversations, you can have disagreements, and it's funny. You and I have worked together in the music and the audio world. You can have disagreements, and we've seen some crazy stuff, right? But the thing is, if the relationship is valuable to you, have that discussion, have that discourse. We may not ever see eye to eye, but it has to be important enough to have that discourse and get that stuff out the way, and then move forward. And, you and I have done that. Hats off to me and you. We've done it in a lot of different ways. And and man, I don't know, we've been friends since the 80s, I think, or something like that. It's been a long time. So just to go back now, right, since we talk about old times, how did you get started in archery? Because I remember when you first took me to a meet, and I was like, is this guy crazy?
Who's crazy now?
Yeah. Now, I don't know, this is 25 years ago, maybe. Had to be something.
So this was it was really it came out of when I decided to step away from the music business, and I went and got my certification as an Apple computer technician,
Right.
and I got a job at a shop in Chelsea, and a lot of people probably know TechServe, which is no longer around. But and
But wait,
I was
wait. The
working
funny
there,
thing
and in
is,
that first year,
the music business followed you into technology, though.
it did.
did.
But it was cool. It was kind of like the best of both worlds in a way, It's like, so, but
Yeah.
it's like in that first year there, my ex-wife, she was my wife at the time. She's like, you've never really had a 9 to 5. You're gonna need a hobby or something because it's gonna be stressful for you. And and I said, yeah, maybe a sport or something. And we bounced this around for a year or so, and then she just one day, it was my birthday, and was 96. And I came home from work, and there was a bow wrapped with a bow around it on the sofa. And so I was like, this is great, but where the heck am I going to shoot a bow? And she said, oh, I found a range. It's on your way home. It's
Man.
convenient, and I started going. I got into it. I started going like 3-4 times a week. Then I started competing, and
You got to send
locally, and
checks for this now, Derek.
then
You're gonna have to send
then
checks.
regionally, then nationally, then internationally, and and then in 2003, the World Championships was here in New York. They had the qualifiers in Van Cortlandt Park in the Bronx, and the finals were in Central Park. And myself and all the other guys in my club, we were volunteering and working field crew and stuff. And a good friend of mine, Coach Larry Brown, who was the coach at Columbia at the time, we were working the demonstration tent. We had a tent set up where people could try archery. They were passing through the park, and we were on our lunch break, and I was like, hey, I heard you lost your assistant coach, and he goes, yeah, and I was like, so I guess you're looking. I'm just making conversation, It's like, well, you're looking for a replacement. He goes, and he's like, wait a minute. He goes, you could be my assistant. And I was like, no, man, I just do this to relax. I don't know anything about coaching. He goes, come on, I'll teach you. You got to do this with me. And he kept banging, and I was like, all right, finally he broke me down. I said, I'll try it out for a year. And I did it with him for a year, and it was fun. I enjoyed it, but I still felt like I had to think about it, So at the end of that year, it's like, I'm going to think about this and see if I'm coming back next year. And a bunch of the girls are like, if you don't come back, we're not coming back, And I was like,
Wow.
wait, you guys got to come back. I said, all right, since y'all feel that way, I'll come back. But over that summer, he resigned. And he and a bunch of other people and the entire team encouraged me, like, go for it. We want you as our coach. We think you could do it. And I was like, I spent 1 year assisting. How the heck am I going to step into a head coach position at an Ivy League institution, Division I NCAA sport?
Yeah.
This is crazy. I said, what the heck? I'll give it a try, it's, so I did. And we first 2 years were good. And it wasn't even a full-time position. It was a casual employee position. But after the first 2 years, they came to me and they said, listen, we've had 5 coaches in this last 7 years, and you look like you know what you're doing. We want to try and keep you. What do you think about a full-time position? And I was like, well, it depends. And they showed me the contract, and here I am. So,
Wow.
19 years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
You sound like it was a natural.
It's been a fun ride. It's had its ups and downs, but it's changed. It changed my life.
Yeah, absolutely. Hats off to you, Derek. I mean,
Yes,
really though,
congrats.
knowing you, the thing is, one thing is consistent, and
Hard work.
we met like in the music business and in the change of the music business. Mitty was just first coming in, and
Dude, you're telling our age.
Hip hop was just really getting started. I know, right? But one thing I could say is that what is constant with you personally is that you've always been a person to really learn as much. You're a subject matter expert. You learn everything about that particular thing, whatever we were working on, whatever piece of equipment we were representing. You knew everything. You go into the finer details. So that type of that's your acumen, your work acumen. That basically, you follow through on anything you do. So that's you. So congratulations, man.
Definitely.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So now I'm running out of a little time. So I do want to just kind of talk about how we met. We met in the old days of 48th Street, which was a
Yeah.
row, which no longer exists now. I think they knocked it down
Yeah.
to the Hard Rock Cafe hotel over there. And then we got into producing some records, and we worked on my first album, Revelations. And you actually had
Yeah.
a few songs that you wrote on there. I think you actually had 2 or 3. I can't remember. Two. And so, you know, we always like to do the song of the week, I guess, of the day. So Tracy, what do we have for my, tell me what do we have as far as music to end in this segment that fits?
Well, I'm so happy that Derek joined us today.
Yeah.
And in honor of you, Derek, joining us today, we are picking a selection from the Revelation CD, which is now under Ruby Boo Records and Entertainment.
Ruby, it's my favorite label.
Do you know?
Favorite.
He says that every week, Derek. Every week. But it is. And on your honor, we are going to select the Blue Room. Tell us about the Blue Room.
Yeah, Derek, tell us about the Blue Room. Oh, well, you know about the Blue Room. Tell about the Blue Room, how it came.
The idea of the Blue Room came from, I had a very close friend who actually recently passed away a few years ago. But she was struggling with some issues and some mental health issues. And when she go into depression or whatever, it's like one day I was talking, I said, just imagine you're in this blue room and there's just one window and you look out that window and you can see me walking up the road, coming to see you. And so when you ever feel like, you're all alone or depressed or whatever, just go into the Blue Room. And, years later, she told me that that she did that and it helped her every time, just helped cheer her up, just being in that peaceful space, so that was the motivation behind the song. And that one, the audio version of that, the peaceful space.
It is a beautiful song.
Wow, D.
And now that I know the background, oh my goodness, Derek, I am so thankful that you wanted to have it on the CD.
And the last thing I'll say is that condolences, to her spirit, but she's still there, with us. And we really captured that whole thing. And ironically, you remember the little room we used to work in to do this whole album? Was a Blue Room. Yeah. I mean, that's how it was.
That's right. That's right.
Man.
I love it.
So, Mr. Derek Davis, head coach of the Lions Archery women's team. Pleasure talking to you. Continued success. 20 years.
Thank you.
You can't write it. You couldn't write. If you wanted to write this, you couldn't.
It was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And we always like you to join in on this. And we're so happy to have you. You know why?
Well, because it's
Friday, baby.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. This was fun.
Thank you, Derek. It was a lot of fun having you. We appreciate it.
views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, opinions of any agency and or platform. The material and information presented here is for general information and entertainment purposes only. It's Friday, Baybay. Name and all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owners, and its use is not an endorsement or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service.